How's it going, everyone? It is Panjano here, and in this video I'm going to be covering quite a unique product that I believe many of you like myself would be very interested in. This video is going to be covering the Minisforum AI X1 Pro mini PC. This is coming from the perspective of someone with multiple gaming systems for testing and work, alongside the new M4 Mac Mini base model. So in this video we're going to be jumping into gaming on the system itself, utilizing its biggest party trick, which is Oculink support, allowing you to connect external GPUs up to an RTX 5090, gaming on the lightning fast AMD Radeon 890M Intergrated Graphics, alongside some other gaming tests on other operating systems such as Linux, so you can get a full idea of what sort of performance this system has to offer, alongside features and compatibility. And I want to thank Minisforum for sponsoring this video. All opinions in this video are my own, and I've had no direction as to what I can and what I can't showcase. I do believe that this mini PC, compared to a lot of other options on the market, especially with this spec, might be a more compelling option than those. This does support Oculink, allowing you to connect external GPUs. The RAM in this system is not soldered, so it is fully upgradable, up to 128GB at 5600 megatransfers, and includes 3 full-size M.2 NVMe 2280 slots, but the last one is limited as a PCIe Gen 4 X1. This means that this system could be spec'd up entirely for practically any workload, whether it's gaming, video editing, photography, videography, AI, or just an overall workhorse. For me, I have the system set up as pretty much 3 PCs in one. The system ships with Windows 11 Pro Next Gen installed. Once it arrived, I disassembled the system. There's just 5 screws on the underside of the clamshell. Once that's removed, you then only need to remove the screws with the arrows next to them. And a quick note on this, some of these screws were on quite tight, so if you are planning on doing this yourself on this system, please do make sure that you have a correct fitting Phillips head screwdriver. Upgrading the SSDs was super quick and easy to do, and in the box with the AI X1 Pro, it also includes a heatsink and thermal pad for an additional SSD. At this point, if you wanted to change out or upgrade the RAM, you could easily do so. It's also worth noting that the Wi-Fi chip is removable, so many years from now, if you're looking for a Wi-Fi upgrade, you can do so. But you might not need to, because it does feature a MediaTek chip which supports both Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4. For the main specs of the overall system, it features the new AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX370, which comes packed with 12 cores, 24 threads, up to a 5.1 GHz boost. Comes paired with AMD's latest Radeon 890M Intergrated Graphics with 16 graphics cores up to a frequency of 2900 MHz, and the configuration that I have is the 64GB version with the included 1TB SSD. But you can get a 32GB version with a 1TB SSD, or a 96GB version with 2TB SSD. Again, these are completely expandable, so if you want to upgrade this yourself, you could just go with the base model and buy your own RAM and additional SSDs. It has support for 2 USB 4s, one on the front, one on the rear, an SD card slot, making it ideal for photographers and videographers, the Oculink port, which allows you to connect external GPU docks or other PCIe accessories, such as GPUs, with a higher available bandwidth when compared to Thunderbolt or USB docks, allowing for practically almost any GPU to be used in this configuration with minimal performance loss. Features a power button, Copilot button, a plethora of different USB Type A solutions which will be listed on screen, dual 2.5GB LAN ports, and takes a standard provided figure of 8 cable. The power supply on this unit is internal, which is why it's slightly bigger than some other mini PCs, but with this solution you don't have to lug around a big power brick or have specific power cables, everything is internal. For display output, we have HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 2.0, and 2 USB 4s, one on the front and one on the rear. This allows you to theoretically utilize quad monitors on this setup without the need for an external GPU, just on the system itself. And has a built-in microphone which you can hear in this test. It also has 2 integrated speakers which are pretty decent, especially if you're looking to move away from using integrated monitor speakers, but when comparing this to the M4 Mac Mini's built-in speakers, they do fall quite short, but they can get quite loud, so they are still practical. In this video we'll be covering one of the largest updates we've As I think it's useful for anyone potentially looking at this system. If you're curious to any available BIOS settings, I'll do a quick run through, just slow the video down to quarter speed and pause on any of the screens that may interest you to see if any BIOS options that you're looking for are available. I've set up the PC so I have 3 different operating systems running off of each of the SSDs installed to the system, and I can access the boot menu very easily just by turning on the system, heading into the BIOS, going to the BBS menu, and selecting from any of the operating systems I want to boot into. For me, I have Windows 11 Pro Next Gen, which shipped with the system, Linux Bazzite, which is a Linux distribution based around Fedora. It's fantastic for an out-of-the-box gaming experience, and Windows 10. So I can have practically 3 different compute experiences in this system. You can configure this in any way you wish to. If you just want to add some big SSDs alongside the Windows installation that comes shipped with the system, you can do so, or you could wipe absolutely everything. It's completely up to you. One of the benefits of this system supporting USB-C and USB 4 is compatibility with portable monitors. This allows you to have a super powerful workstation setup with an incredibly small footprint and minimal power draw. There are a plethora of portable monitors available from multiple places across the internet these days, from different specs, resolutions, and panel types. A really interesting and cool option that Minisforum do offer, which I requested to try out for this setup, is their dual folding monitor. And because this system has both rear and front USB 4, this dual portable monitor can be both powered and have display output to it over one USB-C cable. So that means if I'm looking to do any portable work, or if I'm going away and I want to take a powerful system with me for work and play, I could just simply pack up the dual monitor, the PC itself, a wireless mouse and keyboard, the power cable for the PC, and a USB-C cable for the monitor itself. That means theoretically there are only 2 cables in that entire setup. It can be placed practically anywhere, and I'm not just limited to one monitor. It is supported on Linux, Mac, and Windows, and I've had a great time also making use of this on my M4 Mac Mini. I was worried that it might have some issues with Linux, especially Linux Bazzite, but no, it worked absolutely perfectly. The system was powered on, I was using a different monitor, and I could easily connect the system at any time just with a simple USB-C cable into the front USB 4 port, and it booted up fine. One thing you may be wondering what that is on the front, it is actually a dedicated Copilot button. Now, if this isn't something you're interested in whatsoever, or Windows 11 Pro Next Gen or any AI features, choose not to utilize any of those features, and you can also repurpose the Copilot button to practically do anything you wish to. If you really wanted to, you could also wipe the OS that the system ships with and install any operating system you want from scratch. I've experienced Copilot on this PC, and as there are some aspects of Copilot I really don't like, some of it I do see useful, and I could see how this could potentially be the future of computing for most people in home environments. I wanted to approach editing a video recorded through this system and edited on this system utilizing DaVinci Resolve. I then booted up Copilot to both ask it via text and via voice how I can do certain things with inside of DaVinci Resolve, and the results were actually quite surprising. With a step-by-step rundown with the Copilot companion, it may not be for everyone, but for someone that's not entirely confident on how to do something and they need to get something done for work, or they're trying to complete something with a piece of software they're not quite familiar with, I do see how that could be quite useful. But if AI doesn't interest you, you can disable absolutely everything, wipe the SSD the system comes with, and install any or all operating systems that you're looking for. For more information regarding Wi-Fi tests and power draw tests when comparing this to a gaming PC and the M4 Mac Mini, to see how they behave at different power states and different system loads, and a Wi-Fi test with the computers positioned in the exact same environment for as close of a test as possible. If you're interested in overall AI performance, the system itself is rated for up to 80 TOPS, of which the NPU specifically supports up to 50 TOPS. Utilizing the BIOS or Windows 11's Radeon settings, you can also adjust how much of your RAM is allocated to VRAM, so you could run larger models. For this demonstration, I utilized a larger parameter model in LM Studio that wasn't even able to be ran before by allocating more VRAM. On this 64GB model, I was able to allocate up to 48GB of that in VRAM. You could do even more if you had more. But if you're looking to do anything faster, an Oculink GPU would be a fantastic option, and you would have access to all of the horsepower of the GPU you have installed. And if you're looking for overall general benchmarks, on screen now you can see a rundown of a few different systems compared to the AI X1 Pro in a few different standardized benchmarks. You can also compare this to your current system to see how much of a performance gain there could be on offer from this mini PC. One thing to note, if you are considering the AI X1 Pro or any other mini PC for that matter, if the most important thing to you is getting the best level of performance for the lowest cost, a full-size desktop tower will be very hard to beat, but that comes with the increased size. But now let's get on to the main thing that most of you will more than likely be interested in, how it actually games. Starting off, we'll make use of the integrated Radeon 890M graphics. For these tests, I've at least allocated 8GB of the RAM to be used as VRAM for the GPU to ensure that we have better compatibility in modern games rather than using the default allocated amount, but you can adjust this to be smaller or larger as you see fit depending on the RAM configuration you have available. Throughout these tests, we're utilizing Windows 11 Pro Next Gen, which the system ships with, and Bazzite, which is a Linux-based distribution, and I'm utilizing the KDE version. In everything that I've thrown at this has come back with some fantastic performance in modern games, older titles, and even some emulation. Whether you're looking to kick back with a controller and play something more relaxing, or if you're looking to do some competitive gaming, if you're aiming at 1080p with lower settings to medium settings, you're going to have a fantastic experience. Another quick note which may be super useful on this system for those of you that are planning on pairing it with a 1440p or 4K monitor or TV, if you're looking to get higher FPS but keep visuals quite crisp, you can actually make use of integer scaling inside of the Radeon control panel settings, which will allow you to run games at a native 720p or 1080p, which is then integer scaled to either 1440 or 4K. This looks a lot better than non-integer scaled games. It gives you a sharper resolution and makes those resolutions actually playable, especially when utilizing this at distance on something like a TV. If you're looking to play games natively on this system, that is a very good option if you're looking to boost the performance of the GPU. If you're looking to play lighter titles such as Valorant or League of Legends, you could play these up to 4K, no issue, with really low latency and super high FPS on the integrated graphics themselves. For modern games, I decided to try out the latest version of Call of Duty Warzone with Verdansk back. Again, we're looking at sort of 50 to 70 FPS depending on where we're going. You could squeeze more performance out of this system if you were willing to tweak the settings further, but I went in just with the low preset, 1080p and some FSR. I also tried out Atom Full, which really surprised me, at both 1080p low and 1080p medium settings, and this game doesn't even support upscaling. This is a native 1080p experience. From all of the games that I utilized playing on the 890M graphics, I was pleasantly surprised. You won't get any groundbreaking performance at 1440p or 4K, but it can do the job if you're looking to play older games, lighter titles, or doing some older emulation. But that's when this system really shines. Because it has the Oculink port, if you're looking to play any super demanding games that require the extra GPU horsepower, Minisforum were also kind enough to send over their Oculink GPU dock, the DEG1. This is available directly on the website and will work with other systems, not just this mini PC. It's a fantastic premium feeling build. You will need to supply your own GPU and your own power supply, but those are completely scalable. You could go with an AMD GPU, Intel, Nvidia, old, new, high-end, low-end. With this Oculink GPU dock also supporting PCIe Gen 4, you're going to get pretty good performance out of it regardless of what sort of GPU you are using. Because you do have that powerful Zen 5 based Ryzen AI 9HX with 12 cores and 24 threads, I decided to run 3 different GPUs on this system, again on both Windows 11 and Bazzite. These are the 7900 XTX, the RTX 4060, and the RX 5700 XT, for 3 different price points: older GPUs, newer GPUs, higher end, and medium range. And just before I finish this video, I've acquired an RTX 5060 Ti 16GB GPU, which I have also paired with the Oculink adapter and the mini PC, and this setup has been absolutely fantastic. I do think this is one of the best options out there if you're looking for a new GPU to pair with this mini PC. The power draw, the RAM, the cost when compared to something like an RTX 4070 is a lot more compelling, as when you overclock the 5060 Ti 16GB, you're able to get about an extra 11% performance across most games, making it a fantastic option when compared to something like an RTX 4070. Whether you're looking at 1080p, 1440p, or even 4K gaming, and I've tried to include a few gameplay clips so you can see this in use, but I have added this in at the last second. Across both operating systems, every game that I played, I had performance that was completely expected, especially when comparing this to a gaming PC of mine which has a Ryzen 5700X 3D, which I typically use most of these GPUs in. One thing I really wanted to check is that all of the functionality of the GPU still works when it's using Oculink, such as FreeSync, frame generation, DLSS, FSR, variable refresh rate, HDR technology, and I'm pleased to say that I didn't experience any issues with using any of that. It was just like using a desktop PC with the GPU installed. All the games I played at different mixes of settings were fantastic, and this is why this system really interests me. You could buy the base configuration today, and in 6 months, a year, or 2 years from now, you could decide to upgrade the RAM. You could expand the storage, and if you want more GPU horsepower because you're getting into more demanding gaming, you could grab an Oculink GPU dock, whether it's a generic solution or if you go with with the more premium option with the Minisforum DEG1 and stick a GPU in it. If you're not entirely sure if you want to pair this with a more powerful GPU and you just want an all-in-one system that you can take around, put in the living room, do some work on during the day at a desktop, consider trying out GeForce Now. With the ultimate tier subscription for GeForce Now, you get access to 4K at 120 FPS, which will work perfectly with this system because it does have a full HDMI 2.1 port to have an output of 4K 120 FPS. And because GeForce Now is streaming the game to your system and just decoding that stream, it's going to be incredibly light on power, super efficient, and give you a really good gameplay experience. If you're looking for a mini PC for your system and you're not entirely sure whether or not you want to go with a M4 Mac Mini or other mini PCs on the market, if you're looking for something that's expandable, upgradable, portable, and not limited to Mac OS, I can wholeheartedly completely recommend the AI X1 Pro. With its inclusion of Oculink, you're going to be hard pressed to find a product that competes with this and is also upgradable. The power supply is integrated, so it's ever so slightly bigger than those devices, but you're not lugging around a massive power brick. It takes just a standard power cable as you would expect with something like the M4 Mac Mini, making it just as convenient, but nowhere near as locked down. And this thing can actually game. They're both great machines, but if you're looking for a more open experience, the AI X1 Pro is definitely an option you should be considering. Thank you ever so much to Minisforum for shipping over these products, for allowing me to review them. I've had a fantastic time with this system and I would highly recommend that you do look into it more. It gets a double thumbs up from me. I've had a fantastic time with it and I can highly recommend it. Links to purchase your own AI X1 Pro will be included in the description down below, including the dual monitor and the DEG1 Oculink dock. Let me know of your thoughts, questions or queries in the comment section down below. I'm happy to answer anything on these systems from my personal experience or anything you would like to see tested. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch this video. Consider clicking on the video on screen now, and I'll see you in the next one.